if I look as a safety person, safety director, if I tell a guy to do something illegally on safety, tell him not to tie off, not to worry about getting in that trench without having any type of shoring put in, and he gets killed, I'm going to prison. And then, over the years of doing this, I have seen everything where the insurance company says, well, take the safety out and I'll give you, X amount for the roof. Well, you negotiated safety out of there, somebody gets hurt on it. Guess who they're coming after? You said safety wasn't required.
Welcome, everybody, to the Claims Game Podcast. I'm your host, Vince Perry, the commercial claims advocate, and great episode today. OSHA. We're going to talk about OSHA. For those of you that don't know what OSHA is and are always confused because you always hear this OSHA and OSHA requirements and make sure you put OSHA in your estimate and all that stuff. We are sitting with the expert, the professional, the person in the industry that knows most about OSHA and everything that's required. His name is Kevin Dandridge. Kevin Dandridge is the owner of One Life Safety, and basically that's what his role is. His role is to basically put reports together, go out and inspect, and make sure that all of the OSHA requirements are there to make sure that the home, the building, or whatever it is put back to the way it's supposed to be. And he's kind of on our side. He sees that the insurance companies are not including these things that need to be included. And like him, we are always concerned that once that settlement is made and that payment is made, we don't want any extra fees come in because of OSHA requirements and safety precautions that people need to take in order to build back this building. He makes sure that we get it right up front, right off the bat. So you're going to learn a lot about OSHA. You're going to learn what it actually means. He's OSHA certified. He's got courses that he provides on OSHA so that it could help you include it in your estimates. You could call him anytime, which is what he really stressed throughout the podcast episode, that feel free to call him if you have any questions. He speaks all over the country, and the guy just knows everything there is to know about OSHA and about the safety requirements needed when putting back a building and repairing a building of whatever it is, whether it's a home or a building. But great information. Wealth of information. If you ever wanted to know about OSHA, this is the episode for you to listen to so that you could get up to date on everything there is to know about the wonderful world of OSHA. Enjoy. Let's get right to it. 3, 2, 1. All right.
Welcome to the Claims Game Podcast with Vince Perry. Get all the tips you need from insurance claim advocates and professionals and grow your public adjusting career to the next level. And now the commercial claims advocate, Vince Perry.
Okay. We are here back again. It's been a while, Kevin. You don't know, but we haven't had a podcast in a couple of weeks, or probably like 3 to 4 weeks. So I hope you are excited to be the first guest in several weeks of No Claims Game Podcast. And today I have with me Kevin Dandridge. I hope I didn't butcher that, but Kevin, I'm excited to have you on the show. Kevin is the owner of One Life Safety. Thank you for coming on, man.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm excited about being here. I really am. I'm looking forward to getting the information out there and seeing what we can do to help.
Additional living expenses is one of the most difficult parts of an insurance claim. And the reason is it's very high pressure. And as a public adjuster or contractor, you're already dealing with the negotiating of the build back process. You don't want to have to deal with ALE as well. Black Diamond Housing Services does all of that. They don't even charge the client. They bill it directly to the insurance company. It's all covered under the ALE coverage. So you need to call Black Diamond if you have a house that has been severely lost, whether it's like severe mold, severe water, fire, or anything like that, where they need a place to stay. Call Black Diamond Housing Services and they'll be able to take care of your client from beginning to end. I had been looking for an accountant for years and I was unable to find anybody that I liked, that I worked with, and was able to do what I needed to be done to my taxes and to my accountant. Jeremy David at Noble Wealth has been a godsend to me, my family, and my company. We have saved so much money in taxes I can't even begin to describe, and he knows what he's doing. You need to call Jeremy at Noble Wealth and get yourself the right accountant because he's the man who's going to help you save on taxes, because ultimately you don't want to be making money, especially if you're self-employed, and having it all go to the IRS. Call Jeremy, call Noble Wealth, and they will help you tremendously with the entire accounting process and your tax situation from A to Z. I think it's interesting. I think the information you're going to be giving is interesting. I always like to get right to the point in these podcasts, and I want to tell people exactly what you do so that they can decide whether they want to keep listening or they just want to tune out and not listen. Kevin is the owner of One Life Safety, and again, I'm going to allow you to elaborate, but Kevin is like an expert and badass when it comes to OSHA, when it comes to safety, when it comes to making sure people aren't killing themselves when they're doing repairs and they're doing any kind of construction. And frankly, the reason why I've got Kevin on the show today is because, well, let's face it, right? There's a lot of things that are missing in the insurance company estimates and in our estimates that are OSHA safety required in order to do the kinds of repairs that they're going to be doing for these claims that we're probably missing out on thousands upon hundreds of thousands of dollars. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. There's, it's not just about the money, but there is the money cost of it. It is making sure that you are covering yourself, you're covering your employees, you're covering the workers that are on site. And the big thing is you're covering your client.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because the last thing that we ever want as public adjusters or anybody negotiating the insurance claim is to settle a claim, especially in exchange for a release. And then the insured or the contractor starts doing the repairs, and then they end up having to spend more and more and more. And all these little things come up. OSHA and safety could be one of those things where we settle a claim for, I don't know, let's say $100,000. And all of a sudden contractor comes in and says, well, I'm charging you X amount of dollars now just because I need to make sure that everybody's safe and nobody's getting hurt on the job site. Right?
Correct. Hey, that is, that's a reality. You have, the sad part of it is if you put a number together, let's say that 100,000, and then they go out and do this. OSHA shows up, says, no, you haven't put porta-johns on, you haven't put fall protection in, you haven't done this, you don't have any of this stuff. The contractor, yeah, it gets fined, but on top of that, now they're like, okay, no, I got to do this, and this, and this, and add all this onto the job, and that's a cost that they're going to be looking for to get paid for, because everybody's in business to make money, not throw it out the window. The other part of it, the scary part about it, is if somebody gets hurt. Let's take roofing for example. Somebody falls off a roof. In today's litigious society, you can end up with people getting sued to not just the subcontractor, but the GC. The public justice put his name on it, who didn't put safety in the claim, the property owner, which is in turn goes back to the insurance company. And that's how when I talk to insurance companies, I let them know, I'm just trying to protect you, because if we get sued by an injury or you get sued by an injury, that's just another claim you're going to have to pay.
Right. So we know what you're here for, which is we're going to be talking about safety. We're going to talk about OSHA. Could you explain exactly, Kevin, what you do as the owner of One Life Safety? Could you explain to the audience exactly what it is that you do?
So what I do, multiple hats. The big thing, I work with contractors, I work with public adjusters, I work with law firms, appraisers, and I'm open to working even with the insurance companies if they ask me to come out. I write protocols and safety reviews, two different things. Protocol, I come out, I walk the site, no matter where it's at in the country. I fly all over the country. I go anywhere that I'm needed. I walk the site, I review it for all the safety, for what work is actually going to be done on the job. I don't, when we say OSHA, OSHA is a federal agency that, looks over the American worker. I take it to the next step. I also look at the client. I look, a lot of what we do, or a lot of what my clients are involved in is they're doing stuff while somebody's living in a home, or a business is still being operated, a manufacturing plant, a strip center, any of that. So I also have to look at clients for that person that's going to be coming in, the kids that are going to be coming into the house, the parents, the workers inside of a manufacturing plant. So we don't have business interruption. I look at all of that. I look at the full surrounding parking lots, how are we going to be moving equipment? And I write up a full safety protocol on how everything's going to need to be looked at, what's going to be needed to be added to that job. And I give an estimate of costs. I give a cost that if you were to hire me to come out and do the safety, that's what it would cost. You can always break those costs down for the contractor to do. And then I also do what I call a safety review. That is where I just look at information that's been sent to me, documents, pictures, and I basically review everything and say, you need to add this, 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 and this. You need to look at it this way. For my contractors, I write safety programs, for their whole, I have a lot of small contractors that come to me that, they can't afford a safety guy full time. So they don't have a safety program. They've been hit by OSHA. They haven't been hit by OSHA. They're trying to step their game up and go from, I always hear this, they're going from residential into commercial. They're getting their game up. And to get into that game, you've got to have safety. You've got to have, a full safety manual and all that documentation, because it's going to be required. When you get into go ahead.
Is that, so that is required? Do contractors, like big time contractors, do they need to, it makes sense. I'm not a contractor, never been a contractor. They have to have safety protocols and all kinds of stuff in place to make sure that their workers aren't falling off roofs. I guess so, right? That makes sense.
Yeah. The plain and simple is the 1926 standard for OSHA is construction. It's not residential construction. It's not commercial. It's not industrial. It's construction. In general. So everybody has to follow the law of OSHA, because OSHA is a law. If I, as a safety person, safety director, if I tell a guy to do something illegally on safety, tell him not to tie off, not to worry about getting in that trench without having any type of shoring put in, and he gets killed, I'm going to prison. That's murder. So,
wow. If the protocols aren't in place for them to for them to ensure their safety throughout the job site, it is your negligence for them getting injured or dying or whatever it is that happens.
Exactly. And that also goes to the owners of the contracting companies. The sad part of it is that we have states out there that don't even require you to have a contractor's license as a contractor. So, you have a guy goes out and, he's a small time roofer. He's got 5 guys, works out of the back of a pickup and throws guys on the roof without fall protection, without all that. Guy gets hurt. He disappears. He's gone. He's not held liable to anything because he's gone. So, it's a scary world out there when it comes to the safety side of it. And I'm not trying to be, I'm not a safety Nazi. A lot of guys that have been in the business and construction, they like to play that, like to say, oh, the safety. I come from the field. I've been doing construction all my life. I got into the safety side of it while I was building. I got asked to become the safety card holder, the OSHA 500 guy, the trainer, while I was still building. And, what I've seen out in the field is scary. And, it's not saying it's stuff that I haven't done back in the day. I've gotten lucky. I still have all my fingers. See, screen's not showing it, but I have all my fingers. I've never been majorly injured on a job, but I have seen it. I've investigated it. I've seen the fatalities. I've seen all of it, and it's not a fun world. And big thing I always say, and you'll always hear this in my when I speak is I'm just here to make sure everybody goes home the same way they came to work. I want everybody to go home with their fingers and toes. That's the biggest part about it. By doing what I do for now is trying to help everybody that's involved in a claim, in a construction process, getting everything they need to do that job safely. It's safety is, so I use this. Nobody on a job site turns a circular saw and says, hey, I'm going to put my finger in. Oh, wait, the safety guy's here. Not to put your finger in there. So we know that we're supposed to wear fall protection. We know we're supposed to, work off a ladder properly or work off a scissor lift, but there's training involved. I've got a lot of clients that just have me come out and do training classes just to show people how to work fall protection, how to work a scissor lift, a boom lift, a sky tracker, a telehandler. There's a lot to it. And, you got to just, all it takes is one big violation and your business is gone. It takes one fatality and you could be gone.
I saw a video of a worker inside of where was this? It was just a big manufacturing plant or whatever. And man, I don't know what they were doing. It was one of the security images. It looked like it was out of Russia or Eastern Europe or something like that. And dude, this guy got sucked into the machine and
Oh, yeah.
he just got spit out. It was gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know why. So sorry, talking to you makes me think of that. Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate the mental image of that. That was like several years ago and it just came back.
Yeah, I'm here for you.
Tell us more for people who are confused about OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Is OSHA just construction or is it like all kinds of stuff? All right. Can you tell me more about OSHA? Because I feel like people always hear this word, but they don't really know what the hell it is.
Okay. So OSHA governs safety for the nation. There are, it's a federal mandate. It's federally run. There are right now, I believe, 22 states that are state run. Difference between state run and federal run is it covers state employees. The state programs have to follow OSHA's guidelines to the T or make them better. I.e., if you're in California, you've heard of Cal OSHA, they take everything to a whole new level. OSHA is not just construction. You have the 1926 standard, which is construction. You have the 1910 standard, that's general duty. That covers a lot of your warehouses, your Walmarts, your TJ Maxx's, whatever, restaurants. You have your maritime, 1915, 17, and there's others that covers everything working around and on bodies of water. And they all integrate. You have in the construction standard, you have a maritime section. 1910 is your basic general duty clause. That's your catch-all for all. If it doesn't cover it in anything else, it covers it there. You also have your agriculture. Never had a number for it. They call it agriculture. So it covers everything for the American worker. And I mean that in the fact that there are gray areas that we have to fall into. Owner of a company doesn't have to follow, isn't governed by the OSHA rules on a job site, but everybody else that works for them are, which I agree is wrong. You got to lead from the top. If the owner shows up in flip flops and shorts, why wouldn't his workers expect that's okay to go onto a job site? But it's required that you wear boots and jeans or pants anyways, and sleeve shirts.
Interesting. Okay. And does every contractor, do they have like these things like posted in their office and making sure that they have to always have like certain things and regulations and every worker has to be completely aware of all these things and everything that happens, and they have to, does there like an OSHA police that comes to make sure that they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing?
Yes, there are. So they're not police, but they are OSHA inspectors that come out and inspect and make sure that everything is being followed. It's, in some states, it's a welcome thing. Minnesota, the Twin Cities, every big job calls OSHA and says, hey, we're starting the trenching. Why don't you come out and watch? Hey, we're starting steel. And they come out and they watch and they make suggestions and they work together hand in hand. You go to other states that I won't name that it is literally like, oh crap, OSHA's on site. And it's everybody disappears.
Right.
And work doesn't get done because every day that OSHA can't see what's going on, they keep coming back. So I hate the feeling that people feel that way. Yes, when you talk about the posters, so there are guidelines and rules that you have to follow on that. And if you have an office building, you have to have your state requirements, minimum wage, OSHA, all this stuff, Whistleblower Act. And then if you have an office on the job site, say a job site trailer, you got to have that there. Now, if you're doing a roof, no, you don't have to have that posted out there. It's because you don't have an actual office. You got to have an office. But you also have to post in your office or in your job site trailer, your OSHA 300 log. Your OSHA 300 log is injuries for the current year that have happened on any job site that your company is. So if you're let's say you're a big GC and out there, I'm not going to name names because I don't know how this goes, but you're a big GC, you've got jobs all over the country, all over the world. And as injuries happen, you have to fill out log out of, who got hurt, what date, where was it, what was the injury. And that can include somebody being shot, a Circle K or a 7-Eleven convenience store, a clerk gets shot, got to post it. The only thing that you can do is not put names on it for certain items. Being stuck by a needle, you don't want people to overthink that. And then there's other things that I don't really want to get on, but there are certain things that you can hide. The name goes on the OSHA 300A that only like the owner sees, or HR. But yeah, those things have to be posted. And yes, there are inspectors that come out and they can inspect anytime they want, as long as it's prudent, as long as it's an active time. So you can be doing night work on the night shift and OSHA can walk the job, but OSHA can't show up after you've closed the job site and say, you need to come out here and I want to walk this at 10 o'clock at night.
Got it. Okay. Let's switch gears here.
Okay.
Insurance claims. Obviously, I met you because I think it was Cal's first conference that he did, and you spoke, and I was like, I was fascinated by what you were talking about. I'm like, shit, man. All right, this makes a lot of sense. What do you see here with insurance claims, and how have you been able to sort of insert yourself into this niche of the public adjusters and the attorneys and basically, I'm going to assume, taking a look at insurance company estimates and noticing that there's like no OSHA requirements in there and they probably should be included. So tell me what you think the state of like insurance claims is in regards to what you do and what you specialize in.
So, here's the thing. I got involved in this, I got asked to be an expert witness on a job for safety, adding safety to a claim. The biggest part about it was there was no safety. It was over a waterway. It was a dock collapse, and they were concerned about, they were going to be working from the water onto the ground, and so I got asked to do that, and that really kind of opened a door up. Prior to that, I had done one for an airport in Texas, a small airport, but a massive hail damage, and it was by a public adjuster. The big problem that we ran into that is, one, it's an active airway. You've got to work with the tower. You got FAA rules. You've got, we had hangars with 4 or 5 multi-million-dollar jets on them. And, we have to move everything out to replace all the skin on the building and the insulation. And on that claim, we ended up adding over $1 million in safety just because of the daily activities that we were going to have to do, of moving planes and moving and working with the tower, saying, okay, look, there's planes coming down, shut everything down, tie everything down. Now the plane can come and get put away, and now we can fire back up. And the insurance company ended up saying, hey, it's just cheaper for us to put a whole nother hangar in, so you can just move planes into it and you can work on this building and put them back and go work on this building. That was high level. That was, that doesn't happen every claim, but that was a big eye opener that,
right,
how much safety's just not being put in. And then, over the years of doing this, I have seen everything where the insurance company says, well, take the safety out and I'll give you, X amount for the roof. Well, you negotiated safety out of there. Somebody gets hurt on it. Guess who they're coming after? You said safety wasn't required. It was Chip Merlin that said in our last conference we had in Chicago that you're saying safety's not required. Okay, so you're just openly saying break the law in the courtroom. We're just going to break the law because it's a law. Anytime you can be ticketed, fined, or put in prison, that's a law. Right. So, there's a lot of that going on. And then, the argument, well, it's part of O&P, but you don't pay O&P. You just told me you don't pay O&P. So why is it part of O&P? Oh, it's the contractor's due diligence to do that. Yeah, it is. And it costs. We had a professional come out and say, this is going to do all of it. We have to do all of this to do this job. And this is what it's going to cost. And that's an added cost. You pay for trash bags to be thrown in the trash. Well, you got to pay for all this too. So they're always coming up with a new argument. If you've been in the business long enough, there's always an argument for anything, brick, mortar, whatever. Well, they have their arguments on this and we argue that back.
No, it's always inside of the line item already. Oh, it's in the O&P, or it's already in the supervision, or it's already in they're trying to always say that it's already in there. But I mean, the cost that it costs for this, I was going to bring you on a claim not too long ago. The client ended up not wanting to do it. I don't know why, but I mean, I think we were looking at the claim, and it was a what was that? That was I think it was about a 12-unit apartment building, and it was a 3-story. So, there was going to be all kinds of boom lifts and stuff like that were going to be required, and all kinds of safety issues. And I was trying to tell the client, I'm like, you guys are missing out here, because there's going to be a lot of requirements. We settled the claim. I don't know. I don't know what ended up happening, but I thought that would have been a good one to bring you in on. Are there any particular claims that you feel would be more beneficial for your services, or can a public adjuster call you on a normal residential claim, or what is it like? What would it be for a public adjuster or even an attorney to hire you to bring you in on a claim?
So, the thing is we got to look at the cost effectiveness, but I want to emphasize, I'm always here. What I mean by that, I have a lot of clients that just call me and go, "Hey man, I'm not putting you on this claim, but I need some advice." Okay. I'm not getting on every claim. People don't put me on every claim. Without sounding wrong, I'm not the cheapest person out there, but I do what I do. And you pay for that knowledge, and a lot of, you get all the people that say, "Oh, you charge too much," and then I get others that go, "Dude, you don't charge enough." So, I stayed in the middle. Residential, a full protocol, it's not needed. Do a review. It's $1,000. I review everything. I document it up. Matter of fact, I've got a deposition this month over a review, which will be easy. I say easy because it's not a full protocol. It's just a review. But, when you're getting into, I have done safety protocols on nothing but flooring, but it's a $2 million flooring job and it's got silica in it because it's all pretty much quartz and crystal. It's natural stone, so I've done safety protocols for just that, because like silica now is that's the new asbestos. That's the new, did you do in the flooring company, or did you work in the brick company 30 years ago and now you can't breathe?
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, that's the new one. And to be honest with you, they're now finding, there's documentation. I'm waiting for the final read to come out, but OSHA's getting involved in looking at drywall dust as silica, because there's crystalline in drywall mud, and they're looking at that. And when you sand it, now, if that's the case, that's going to take the claims game to a whole new level, because how much interior drywall work do you get done? And people can just wear a little N95 and it's not wet work. They sand it and they mess with it and blah, 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 cut it. Well, once that hits that silica issue, you're treating it like asbestos. You're treating it like clean room. You got to barricade everything off and put negative air in and Tyvek suits. And think about that 10 by 10 bedroom that got a roof leak into it, and they had to rip out 3/4 of the drywall in here to do it. Oh, that was no big deal. We just knocked it out. Not anymore. That's going to take that to a whole new level.
Tell me more about the silica. What is the effects of that? What's going on? I haven't really heard about that.
So silica it's. Let me step back to the asbestos. Asbestos we all know about, but asbestos gets in your lungs. It stays in your lungs, got little barbs. It sticks in your lungs. Then your body's white T cells go and fight it, and it causes scarring inside your lung, which shortens your lung capacity, which shortens your breathing, COPD. Silica is the same thing, just doesn't have the barbs. It's sand. It gets in there. It goes to the bottom of your lungs, and all the little white T cells go in there, and they fight it, and it causes scarring on the inside of your lung, which depletes your capacity to breathe. It's a long-term effect. It's a long-term killer. It's not acid that gets on your skin and eats your hand off. This takes forever, and it's a long-term effect. So silica already is hit with in OSHA, when you get around your bricks, your concrete cutting, that kind of stuff. So we have to take all those precautions for that. Wet, HEPA-vax, wet methods for cutting or drilling. Now it's finding that they have levels of silica in, like I said, the drywall. So now we're going to have that one. So
what the hell? We're going to not use drywall anymore? That's like impossible. What would be the next?
No. It's not going to be like asbestos where we're not going to use drywall. Because to be honest with you, the process, the only process really for drywall is plaster, which we all know is horrible. That's concrete for the most part. And then there's drywall. Drywall's a smaller, easier to unit, but now I've got a drywall company is one of my clients, and one of their clients, a big contractor company, a national company, is now requiring that they use HEPA vacs and they wear full face shields when they're sanding, and they close off the area while they're doing it. Well, okay, that sounds fine for a 10 by 10 room, an office, but go do a massive warehouse project that has drywall in the for the roof access ladder, the barrel, and there's no walls or nothing. The drywall's all on the ceiling for the fireproof line, but now he's got to close off, a 50-foot ceiling all the way down and make an enclosure to go in there and sand for 20 minutes. It's going to take him longer to prep it than it is for him to sand it. So yeah, it becomes a headache. So we try to figure out the best methods to do it. When I got started in OSHA, I feel
like this is something we should start including in our estimates now.
Absolutely. Might as well get the jump on it and get the insurance companies used to seeing it. When I first started this, they were losing their mind because they didn't know what they'd seen. They didn't know anything about OSHA. Funny story on that. We can go back to, but now they're getting used to seeing it. And now they're figuring out how to try to combat it, and they're losing that combating. I've even seen some companies that are hiring people to rebut me to come back and say, well, no, this costs too much, that costs too much. You added for safety glasses, you put $12 a unit and they're only $1.50 a unit. And I'm like, well, when I did my estimate 2 years ago, they were $12.50 a unit. Right. And pull up Home Depot, and that's where they're at. And they're like, well, yeah, but you can buy them at HD Supply if you buy 1,000 glasses. And I'm like, what roofing company has the money to go spend $1,000 on safety glasses? Right. How many cases of glasses that is? Right. So, the fun part about it on the insurance company is, and I like to tell them the story there, when they ask, well, why do you think this is, and why do you think you have the right to say that? And I'm like, because of you. You're the reason I have this job. You're the reason, you give business insurance to businesses, contractors, that make them get workman's comp, and they got to keep an EMOD, that's an experience rating, at a certain level to keep their insurance costs down. And big contractors, that's what they ask for, is your EMOD to even get put on the job site or considered for bidding. You require all this stuff. You even give them a little manual. Hey, follow these safety things. You got to hire a safety guy. Well, I got hired because of EPA and a OSHA violation for a company that happened to have a company that was a mitigation company. And I got hired on by the requirements of the settlement, multi-million-dollar settlement for fines. And now you're telling me you're not going to cover safety, but you're the reason, the same company that brought me on, that made me get this job, to tell you you're paying for this. That's it.
Interesting. Would you say that you're leaning more towards insurance claims? Are you working a lot of insurance claims lately over the last several years, or are you still more just on the contractor side?
No, I'm on the claims. I would say 80% of my business is claims.
Gotcha. Are you getting called in by the contractors, public adjusters, and attorneys? A little bit of everything?
A little bit of everything. Appraisers, umpires. I've had umpires call me and say, hey, I got safety on both of these. Do you want, I'm like, okay, I can review them for you. And they're like, nope, I want you to go up there and tell me what it's going to take to do this job. Okay.
I think that's the easiest way to do it. I mean, like, you're just not going to just take a claim. I mean, yeah, I believe that the best thing for you is to go out there, take a look at the site, and come up with the entire protocol. That's the way to go.
Yeah, that 9 times out of 10, to be honest with you, I don't look, unless I'm doing just a review, I don't look at your ESX from Xactimate. I don't look at your
what do you look at? Photos?
What I look at is I have a sheet. When I do a claim, I send out obviously a contract, and I send a sheet out. Give me an address, give me what work needs to be done: roofing, siding, rain gutters, interior drywall, AC units, blah blah blah. Tell me what work you're putting in your information, and then I go out and walk the job and say, okay, to put the roof on this, we're going to have to do this, and I got to use a crane. Oh, I've literally had jobs where I'm like, you're not getting those AC units off of here now because they were put up before they put all this landscaping and all this concrete and all this stuff in. And, I talked to the the janitor, and I'm like, how long you been here? He's like, oh, I've been here since we started the building. Okay. How'd you get that big unit in the center? Oh, we brought it in the helicopter. That's what I figured. And so I put in a helicopter to remove the unit so we can replace the roof and fly it back in. So I've put tower cranes in. The building that's behind me in this picture is a job we did. And
really?
we put a tower crane on this one to do the roof and the windows and other things.
Wow, that's awesome. I've got a claim for you.
Cool.
For sure. It's a claim in Orlando. I'm gonna need you on that one because it's gonna be a complicated one anyway. So I think that's the way to go.
Well, let me know, because I may be actually. I've got a client that wants me out in Florida, hopefully next week.
Have you come out to Florida? Have you worked the storm yet?
I have not. This will be my first set, but I'm usually 4 or 5 months after a storm when everybody starts getting the big claims and they start bringing me out. But I've got to go to Daytona, Kissimmee.
Yep.
Fort Myers.
That's where my claim is at, in that area. When are you going to be here?
Hopefully next week. The contract gets signed.
Okay. What's your experience like, Kevin? I haven't even asked you about your experience. What makes you experienced to do this? Like, what is your background? Obviously in construction, but tell me just real quick, I guess, a little bit about, not how you ended up here, but what is your experience in being able to do this? So
I started out as a framer, 18, 19 years old, and ended up getting into some GCs, worked my way up to vice president of operations in the home building. At that time is when I picked up my safety. I have done construction and or safety in everything from residential, commercial, industrial, chemical plants, ship dismantling in New Orleans. I worked Intel. I have done, I'm not going to say I've done and seen it all because I have not. You never do. I've just had my hands in the Kool-Aid a long, long time. So what makes me who I am, and this is what I get told by people, because I'm horrible about boasting on myself, but people tell me, they're like, look, not only do you have the safety background, you have the construction background. So I know how to walk out and go, I know how they're going to put this together. So this is how the safety is going to go to coincide with it, where you have safety guys out there that go and get their degree in safety, and they've never built anything. They don't even know how to read a plan. And I'm not bagging on them. They just don't have the experience on how to look at, especially in the claims industry, because a lot of it's damage. New construction is a completely different animal. I had a school in Mississippi that caught fire, and I put 3 different versions. If you want to do it this way, you do safety this way. You want to do it this way, you do safety this way. My biggest thing, knock the damn thing down and start over. It's the safest way to do it. It's the easiest way to do it. There's so much damn damage to half the building anyways, and the building's from the 60s. Knock it over and start over. And I actually...
I don't know why this makes me think of this, but why is it in Europe you have buildings that have been up for hundreds of years, and here a building that's been built in the 60s needs to be knocked down and rebuilt?
Quality.
Why are we building with such shit quality? Yes. I don't know why it just made me think about that.
Quality.
Everybody's always...
I would say quality is the biggest part of it. It's the material that was put together. I go to Italy all the time. I love Italy. My wife's honeymoon there. So
my staff is all over the world. I have staff in Serbia, in Africa, and in Vietnam, and Europe, and they're just like, they don't understand all the hurricane damage. They're just like, what is the crap that you guys are building your building with that it causes all of this destruction?
We're so used to, I think the biggest thing with America versus Europe, one, they just built everything and it lasted forever, and people reutilized it, where we like new. We're shiny.
Yeah.
Look at that building. That's 30 years old. Get rid of it. Put another.
Get rid of it.
And it's a shame. I've seen, I'm from Phoenix. Okay. I live in Phoenix. I'm from Chandler, a small town here. And I was born when this was still a small town. It was, Phoenix was still considered a small town, and we had our little small towns everywhere. And I have watched this city explode, and I have watched, unfortunately, beautiful old downtowns disappear.
Yeah.
Just to put in glass skyscrapers or glass 10-story buildings, and not because that's not a skyscraper, but glass 10-story buildings and modern stuff. And my wife and I were just laughing about it. We were driving around this weekend, and she goes, yeah. She goes, when do you think that building was built? And I'm like, oh, 70s, 80s, because it looks like a 70s, 80s piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But, stadiums too. Stadiums is another thing. Old stadiums, they just tear them down. They just build them new. It's like, I guess it's probably just a personality thing. It's the way we're built, I guess.
Oh, hell, I'm looking forward to the new baseball stadium for the Texas Rangers, because when I go to that'll be the third stadium in my life I've been at for the Texas Rangers. So
that explains it right there.
And I'm not that old. That's the sad part.
Kevin, tell us how people can get in touch with you. First of all, before I actually go there, tell us these services. Yeah, you mentioned protocols, you mentioned safety reviews, but I'm looking at your website. It's the #1 lifesafety.com. And I'm looking at some of the services that you have. But if you could just explain to the audience what services you actually provide besides just the protocol safety review, because I see some other stuff as well.
So I do the protocols. I do the safety reviews. I do training. I am actually now setting up right now an OSHA 30 class as we were setting up for this that'll be an online class. I'm setting it up for the week after Christmas because a lot of people don't work that week after Christmas. Come get your OSHA 30 class. I'm even putting it on as a discount. Merry Christmas.
Black Friday.
Black Friday. Well, I actually was going to try to release it on Black Friday, but I'm trying. I do the OSHA 10. I do the OSHA 30. I'm an authorized instructor for OSHA to do that. I do training for disaster workers for OSHA. I do arc flash training. That's your high and low voltage. That's if you see the picture behind me, all the high wires there. People don't understand what's required. In arc flash. I had a warehouse in Dallas that, during COVID got broken into, big manufacturing warehouse plant, and they stole a boatload of wire, heavy gauge wire. And when they went and turned on the building, it damn near burned the building down. It fried up all kinds of stuff. And it was having to go through and put all the arc flash protocol and everything in place just for them to do that work. That was a huge claim, multi-million-dollar electrical claim, and it was just electrical. I do, CPR and I do all kinds of different trainings. I do forklift, scissor lift, boom lift trainings, teaching people how to get on forklifts and how to actually operate them and certify them on, because you're required by law to be certified every 2 years on those pieces of equipment. I have public adjusters that they go rent a boom lift to get on a 3-story apartment complex instead of using a ladder, because ladders are one of the most dangerous things out there in the world. But yet they've never been certified to use it. Well, I've been doing it 20 years. Well, you're lucky you ain't dead yet. Right. They're not even certified. And all that takes, honestly, is OSHA driving down the road, pulling and saying, "No, there's a boom lift," pulls in and goes, "Hey, let me see your certification." "Oh, I'm not certified." "What do you mean you're not certified? Why are you on the boom?" "Well, we're just going up there to look at the roof for inspection." "Okay, why don't you give me your ID and your company name, and I'm going to write you a fine."
How much is the fine?
So the minute he said, "I'm not certified," it's a willful violation, and that starts about $12,000.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Yep, it's a lot of money, and that's the thing is this is one thing I try to tell everybody on especially my contractors. OSHA shows up because they see you run across the roof without fall protection on, and they stop. They write you up for you not having fall protection on, as well as everybody on your crew. And then they start hitting you for your ladders, your barricades, your signage, your water, your pools. Right. Next thing you know, you're looking at $100,000 in fines. Going, all I wanted to do was put a roof on and make $10,000 today.
Right. And they just hit you with everything else.
Oh yeah, and then, trust me, I get a lot of. Honestly, that's how most of my contractors end up coming to me, is because, "Hey, I got an OSHA violation. Can you come defend me?"
That's crazy.
Yep, and I go defend them. I got a company out of a fatality 2 years ago.
Wow. So you have classes, you have training, job site walkthrough, safety plan consultation, safety scope consultation. Where can people get in touch with you, Kevin?
They can reach me out on the website. They can call me, text me, email me. Anyway, I mean, I'm always available. I work.
Yeah. We're going to put all your contact information in the description below. I mean, for those of you who have never met Kevin, he's super nice guy. I've met him a couple of times. I've had some conversations, and you have been helpful in just the telephone conversations that I've had in regards to my claim. So I do want you to tell you, I do thank you for that, and I appreciate that. But anybody else, I think I can speak for Kevin, where he'll be happy to help if you just have some questions as to exactly what his services provide and exactly how he could possibly help you on one of your claims and stuff like that. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I look forward to it. I love doing what I can to help. I'll be speaking. You talked about Cal's conference. I'll be back at Cal's conference again this year in May, the PPA. So make sure you come and see us there. There's a lot of great information being sent out, not just on the safety, but just on claims and everything else alone. So thank you again. Yeah, I'm always here. Whatever I can do to help out, please come see us.
Kevin, you live in Phoenix?
I live in Phoenix.
Gotcha. But you travel all over. But you travel all over.
I do. I travel everywhere. In the last month, I've been to Chicago twice. I have been to Dallas. I have been to Omaha, Nebraska, and I will be probably coming to Florida soon. So
cool. All right. Well, I might see you there.
I look forward to it.
Thank you, Kevin. That's it. That's all we got. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching, and reach out to Kevin in the description below. You can see all of his contact information, and reach out to him if you have any more questions in regards to OSHA or any kind of safety measures that you need to include in your insurance claims, or just in general, any kind of questions. All right, Kevin, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.